he's got the biggest balance sheet in the world, and yet his private life is seemingly falling apart, or is in all disheveled and all over the place. The guy sleeps in his office all the time, and he just wakes up thinking about colonizing Mars. Is that what rich looks like?
I'm Rich.
Now what?
What's up, Tim?
What's up, Mark? Dude, good to be here. It's a big week for wealth this week.
Absolutely,
Our
man.
boy Elon Musk.
I know we thought we were rich and we thought we knew people rich, but now there's a new rich. $1 trillion, buddy.
dude, dude sets a whole new standard. You put out a good post. Um, he hit a million when he was 27 years old. He hit a billion when he was 41 years old. He hit a trillion when he was 54 years old. But like people can't even conceptualize that. And what you put out there was if you quantified that amount of money in seconds, right? A million seconds is 11 days. A billion seconds is 32 years. That's the difference between a million and a billion. And the difference between a billion and a trillion, 32 years versus 32,000 years. You're talking about, the deep into the ice age if you went back 32,000 years. Like it's unfathomable the amount of money and the amount of wealth that Musk created by taking SpaceX public. It's incredible.
Yeah, if you like him or not, what's amazing about it is just the fortitude, the grit. I have zero desire to be him. I have zero desire about his lifestyle. I have zero desire to like fantasize about, oh my gosh, I wish I was Elon Musk, right? But like you can't, without question, you can't, like, he's dedicated to whatever vision he has. And there's something driving him every day to another level. And he's literally, burning down his family's life and different things like that to accomplish it. But like, this is a guy you cannot bet against, dude. He's just a winner, man. He's a winner in business, I should say. Right? Like, he makes a lot
Yep.
of people a lot of money. I saw a lot of people hating on him. You saw like, oh yeah, $1 trillion. It must be nice. Why I can't even barely pay my electric bill? He's created many, 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 many millionaires, 100 millionaires, billionaires, probably as well at this point. And then the taxes these guys pay. People don't like tax the rich. Dude, you know how much money in taxes he's putting into the market? Tens of billions of dollars a year. You know, but
Hundred
they're not
percent,
listening.
hundred
They
percent,
don't
dude. I
listen
mean,
to the
just
show.
just the IPO.
Yeah.
Yeah, the like the lunch ladies and the cafeteria people and the administrative folks and the janitors. Dude, he made 4,400 millionaires based
hmm
on the IPO, right? Like 4,400 people directly became millionaires who had stock in SpaceX who are now worth seven figures or more. 4,400 people, right? Like I want to know who the haters, how many millionaires they've ever made, right? How many people they've influenced and helped make millions of dollars, if not tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or billions of dollars. And
hmm
no, man, it's super inspiring and you had said this, like, dude, it's like setting a new expectation, right? It's like the 4 minute mile. As soon as they broke the 4 minute mile, all of a sudden everybody else started breaking the 4 minute mile, and it became an achievable, attainable objective. The same thing's going to happen here, man. It's gonna break the mold. Now people know that $1 trillion is possible. It's a capability of great entrepreneurs with great vision, and yeah, man, we'll see where the market goes. I mean, there's a lot of AI companies I think that are headed to that mark, um, and whoever really dials that piece in, man, I think there's going to be a couple more trillionaires over the course of the next few years alone.
Yeah, well, public ones, right? As we know, there's some behind the scenes trillionaires that exist out there. If you know that or not, there definitely is, and families of fortunes and all that are not public figures, private companies, etc. I think if anybody's feeling bad though, listening to this, and you're like, oh my gosh, a trillion, it seems so out of far. I'm a loser. I only got 72 million in the bank, kind of thing. Just realize if you have a dollar, you are closer to being to Jeff Bezos than Jeff Bezos is to getting to Elon Musk at this point. So you're in good hands. You'll be totally fine. So it's
You're on your way. Yeah, you're on.
yeah, you're on your way,
Dude, that.
man.
How about that? How
Yeah.
about that? Like the next closest person is hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars away from Musk. It's not even close.
No, it's wild. Which brings us to the point, though, man.
It,
You know, it's like, what does rich look like and act like, and all these things. More importantly, what the hell does rich even mean? For one,
Mhm.
so is Jeff Bezos sitting there pissed off, sitting in a boardroom trying to figure out how to catch, Elon today? Like, what are they doing? Is that rich, or we could even talk about wealth, like, right? Well, because again, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. And you don't need to have billions or millions or trillions of dollars to be wealthy and or rich, for that matter. In dollars, we're talking. But how do you think those guys are moving right now? What do you think they're thinking? Are they going out and buying bigger yachts, bigger planes, trying to figure out, build a rocket to Mars quicker? Like, what is their board meetings like? What's their rich look like? You think?
This whole Instagram social media world, man, I think skews the perspective on what rich and what wealthy look like.
Hmm.
And you had alluded to this. Like Elon Musk has, what does he have, like 12 kids, 15 kids or something,
Right.
with like 8 different women, and all over the world. And does he ever see any of them? Probably not. Like he still sleeps in his office. And and you make a good point, man. Like, hey, he's got the biggest bank account, or the biggest net worth, biggest balance sheet, right? Biggest balance sheet, because a lot of that's none of that's liquid, or vast majority is not liquid. But he's got the biggest balance sheet in the world, and yet his private life is, seemingly falling apart, or is in all disheveled and all over the place. The guy sleeps in his office all the time, and he just wakes up thinking about colonizing Mars, and he wakes up thinking about these objectives that are 500 years or 1,000 years out. And is that what rich looks like, right? Is that what wealthy looks like? Is there a difference between what rich looks like and what wealthy looks like? I would say, wealthy has more wealth, has more um, peace of mind, has more contentedness, yet long term ambition, longer term uh, goals. And rich is like the flash in the pan type stuff, right? That you see on social media. And I think it gets skewed, right? Like my kids, when they watch, they are on YouTube or something, they see Mr. Beast giving away $1 million to somebody who competes in some simple challenge. It's like the value of $1 million, like they don't understand what that really is. And standing back, you gotta take Elon Musk. If you want his life, man, you gotta take the whole package, right? If you want to be Elon Musk, you can't just get the money. You have to
Yeah.
take the family life, the business life. You have to have the demons in your head going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like he does, and be okay with that too. So I think there's a level of wealth and richness, right? Having a rich life is sometimes having the peace of mind. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, man, what does it look like?
Yeah. No, I think we gotta. There's got to be a. Everyone talks about hustle culture, more, 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 more. And listen, we're all about building and growing and evolving, but there's a maturity factor that happens in this game of wealth and rich, right? Because when we're 18 to 30 years old, dude, I just getting rich. I just want to get paid. I want to make money. Just build. We're building and building and building. And if you start at 30 to 40, it doesn't matter what age you start, but like your first 10 years are definitely navigating, what rich means, getting the money to pay the bills. I was thinking about this, like, when's the last time I even had to worry about paying a bill? I'm talking like personal bills, right? Like, it's been a very, very long
Hmm.
time. So, so long I don't even remember when, truthfully. There's definitely was moments where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pay staff and I can't, but I'm still gonna have a house to live in. I'm still gonna have a car to drive. I'm still gonna be able to feed myself. I never got to a point, for many, many years. I mean, there was when I almost went BK, I was sitting in a room, but eating ramen noodles, reading books, getting excited. But that was like 1997 or nine or somewhere around there. So it's been a very long time. And rich to me was always initially is like, how do I get money where I didn't have to think about paying a car payment, or paying rent or paying my house payment or whatever I had at that point. Like to me, that was rich, where I knew I had enough cash flow coming in. Cash flow made me rich. Truthfully, I don't know about you, but like when I started generating, I did a post a while ago, like 10,000 a month or 7,000 a month or 12,000, whatever that number is for the average person. For me back then, it was like 3,000 a month. My lifestyle was very small. And then, that creeps up as we evolve. But, let's say if it's 20,000 a month, you have 20,000 a month coming in if you work or don't work, right? I was driving the kids by one of the buildings I own, and I was like talking to him with my father-in-law. I was like, this building literally prints like 30 grand a month, $1,000 a day. If I'm sick, if I'm tired, if
Hmm.
I'm wore out, if I hustle, if I don't hustle, it doesn't matter. It generates about $1,000 a day per day. Dude, where I grew up, like that's like that's like 2 weeks of working 40 hours a week, trading your life, driving in traffic, not wanting to go, like dealing with people you don't want to deal with. Like it's like mind boggling to think that, we aren't thinking about this stuff as we evolve. And my biggest fear is people get into the game and they never get into position where they can actually enjoy that kind of moment.
Hmm. So what from a stage like, and I remember too, man, like, if I could just get one, my bills paid, right? That was the
Okay.
first threshold. Two was
Yeah.
like $100,000. If I could get $100,000 a year for a few years in a row, I feel like I could pay off some stuff and really create a cushion. And then that was the next threshold. Then the next threshold, probably beyond that, was I wanted to hit $1 million. Not really for a reason. I never like reverse engineered it. I never knew what that could produce from a lifestyle standpoint. You think it's going to be cars and watches and the vacations and some of that stuff. But I think what was cool about that was, and really the whole journey is the amount of value you have to become and you have to give to the marketplace in order to be somebody who then attracts $1 million into their life, right? You got to get better as a human being. You got to listen to the tapes, you have to read the books, and you have to jump on the podcasts, plug into meetups and masterminds and networking groups, build the network. And as you bring more value to the marketplace, you now attract more money. And that is really, where a lot of the value comes from, because then you have a level of confidence where the money is something that allows you to pay for things and do fun stuff. But at the end of the day, you know that the money isn't the value. You are the value, and you can always go out and get the money again, um, if for anything should happen. So there's these different thresholds that I found, um, as you continue to scale up and continue to grow. But I remember, and I think maybe we talked about this on a past episode, but I remember reading in the Millionaire Next Door, these guys, he interviewed all these people worth $30 million, and they just didn't have the peace of mind. They were still anxious about money and paying bills and all that kind of stuff. Like, where, at what point do you have so much wealth, or so much cash and money or cash flow where you're not worried about any of that stuff anymore? Or is it always there?
Yeah, well, I think it's always there, depending what your circle of influence looks like, too, right? If you have $30 million and everyone you're rolling with is worth $250 million, dude, you feel behind. You know what I mean? But if you're hanging out
Hmm.
with guys in the 30 to $50 million range, family people, and again, it's hard because if you have 30 million and you're 48 versus the guy that has 30 million that's 25, they're playing different games. I'm married with kids, they're not married with no kid. Like, they can run at different levels. There's a guy that's like in his late 40s right now. He's getting ready to get married for the first time. And he's like, dude, I would not have been able to build $1 billion business correctly and had a personal life if I was married with kids to build it, right? I would have destroyed my personal family to build this thing. That's how he was like programmed. But I think as well, like if we change it, you and I were kind of talking about this, change the thought. Let's use eggs. If you had 30 million eggs versus $30 million, what do you do with those 30 million eggs? You go get more eggs, you go get more chickens to get more eggs, or do you have enough eggs where you can actually give them out? Because there's a replenishing factor already happening anyways. If you got $30 million, even if you got 4% at a high interest yield account, that's $1.2 million a year, 100 grand a month, doing absolutely nothing, right? Liquid, right? You don't have to do anything, right? So the biggest
Hmm.
problem is a lot of people. I was talking with Ed, this guy I know, Ed. He's very wealthy, and he said more friends of mine today are broke, not because they don't know how to make money, but because they didn't know how to invest their money. They were so busy going to get more and going all in all the time, where it got to a point where they're older now, they went too far in, and now they're broke in essence. And these were guys worth hundreds of millions of dollars, not 10 million or 5 million, like hundreds of millions of dollars. And this happens. He's like, I have more of my friends are in that category than they are wealthier. So we have to understand, like, you become Rich is different than wealth. You have to have a plan. Like most people, it's interesting that it's like, what do you want the 30 million eggs or $30 million to do for you? They don't really have a plan, but they're mad because they don't have more. It's kind of wild, right? Like, I need more. Cool. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to give the money to your family? Are you going to give the money to charity? Are you going to go build buildings? Are you going to, what are you going to do with all this money? Right? Well, I need more. For what? If you don't really have that for what reason, dude, one, it's very hollow and shallow. It's not even fun. Like, cool, I got money. What's it do to you? By the way, that's a drug at that point, right? You're just addicted to the. And again, we like the game. It's fun. Making more is. We're not knocking that. I think if you don't have a plan of making this money, like doing something with this money, man, it's really just pointless, in my opinion. Um, like, dude, enjoy it while you get it too. Like, I'd hate for you to have $30 million and you're like beating yourself up like you're a loser and not enjoying your fruits of your labors, right? And then you wake up and you can't move, or you're dead. I heard a good thing like we've talked about that book Die with Zero, right, and all that with Bill Perkins, but like I heard another side of that's like give with a warm hand today, not with your cold hand in the future, right? So give to your parents, give to your kids, help them buy their first house when you're like, do things while you're alive with the
Hmm.
money instead of wait until they're like 52 years old and they don't need your money, right? And they struggled so bad to get, buy their first place or, whatever. And I'm not saying make them complacent, but like help them today.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's been like, I think when people, if you help somebody who already has ambition, it just it helps them out. I don't think they lose the level of ambition. I don't know. Maybe some people do, but like I don't know. My
No.
dad would come down and visit me in Charleston when I was in the hustle phase of business, and he'd buy me groceries, right, and spend $200 and fill up the pantry on groceries. And guess what? I still hustled. I still worked from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed, and
Yeah.
in order to build something. But it was nice knowing that I had like this little bit of a cushion at the same time too. And I see like talking a little bit about like these seasons. I've seen a couple of posts recently of there's a lot of people in our networks that we've seen come through the masterminds and stuff and coaching programs and build their businesses over the past decade who had nothing or very little, right, trying to figure out how to make a couple $100,000 a year a decade ago, and now they've got seven figures, maybe even eight figures of a little nest egg. And it's interesting that they take this approach, or I've seen a couple of these posts of being like, oh yeah, anti hustle culture, anti blah blah blah, or like it's the value of making money is something more than just working all the time. The reality is though, you have to go through that season. Like you have to go through the hustle season of life, and I don't like seeing people diminish that because you have to go through that in order to get to this next stage, this next phase. And um and I do agree that I'm a big believer that you shouldn't get trapped in your own ambition like some of these guys did who were worth hundreds of millions of dollars that you're talking about that then went broke. Because when you get trapped in your own ambition, you take these unnecessary risks. And I think there's things that you can totally do where you can get excited about the game and still do awesome deals if you're more strategic about it. But I think a lot of folks, um, I mean, there's people who have sat in our rooms whose companies are doing $100 million, and they're still trying to figure it out. Right? It's still new, and they haven't gone through the growth necessarily, and they're doing it the right way because they're plugging in, they're trying to learn, they're trying to understand, make sure that I don't make these mistakes because they see their business as something that actually has some enterprise value and could be sellable in the future. Um, and they're at least reflecting and conscious about what kind of decisions and moves that they can make. Whereas some of these guys, they just keep on making money and stockpiling money, and they think it's never going to end. So then they take these unnecessary risks. And I think when I look back at my career and my business career, I've always taken these big leaps forward, and then I take maybe a year or two to refine the business, and then I take some big leaps forward, and then I refine, and then I take some big leaps forward, and I feel like each time I refine, although it really counteracts with my level of ambition of wanting to grow, it gives me a better foundation and kind of elevates the safety net that I have as I continue to grow, right? And I clean up, maybe clearing debts, maybe owning some properties myself, without any investors, and just taking care of some of those, maybe padding bank accounts, and maximizing retirement accounts, maximizing insurance, maximizing whatever else. And I take these little, it might seem like, oh, well, why pay off a 4% mortgage? When it's 4%, you can get, we can actively go and get 12, 15, 18, 22% on our money. The reality is there's some peace of mind of not owing anybody anything on a home, and knowing you always have a roof over your head, right? And knowing that your spouse always has X number of dollars. Even if I get sued, right? There's always going to be food on the table, and things like that. And so, understanding that there's seasons to all this stuff, and it's okay to grow and then kind of refine a little bit, grow and then refine a little bit. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, no, I love it. I think the biggest thing is, we just did an event, you were there, and guys, the at the end of the day, the common theme across everything is no one has a clue what the hell's going on, right? And I don't care if you're brand new to business, or I don't care if you got $100 million business. I was listening to an interview, a guy managing many, 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 many hundreds of billions of dollars. He's like, dude, I sit in boardroom meetings with the smartest people in the world. They don't know what's going on. They're just all guessing with specialized knowledge. I look back at 2007 and 8, and I remember the market shifted and everyone went under. Not everyone, but lots of people went under. Very smart people, way smarter than I ever was. I never did. I actually amplified my deal flow, did more deals, made a lot of money. That doesn't mean I'm smarter than everyone. It's just I was paying attention to different things, right? Because sometimes you can get so consumed with it's working, more and more, bigger, 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 but then boom. It doesn't. It's not like you take, so you like to take the stairs up and the elevator down in the down markets, right?
Hmm.
So it's when I was just paying attention a little differently, because again, maybe I didn't have it. Not like I just had a different lens. I had a different feeling. I had different data, and I'm not smart. I'm just looking at 1 + 1 = this, and if I'm hanging out and the janitor says, "Hey, I just bought 7 rental properties and blah blah," and I'm like, "How?" Because that's hard for me to do. How do you do it? Like it became easy for everyone, and I was just paying attention to that. So don't think that you have to be smarter than anybody. Just be conscious of what you're doing and know what you know, and execute accordingly. With that said, though, is like you said, taking these big leaps forward. My biggest fears for this hustle culture is that you do it for your whole life. You're going to be very upset that if you did this your whole life and hustle, 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 you're going to forget to enjoy the moments, enjoy the time with your family. It's like, I know some people are like, how do I get 3 days how do I get 3 days out of one day? Well, so you're gonna like I just don't tick like that. I never watch TV, dude. I enjoy watching TV with my kids, like an '80s sitcom. Like to me, that's wealth. That's
Yep.
like my riches are sitting there. My day could be absolutely crazy. I come home, I got the kids with me. Nothing else matters. Nothing, right? I don't care what's going on out there. I don't care that this ball's getting dropped. I don't care this employee quit. I don't care this employee stole. I don't care this tenant. Like nothing matters, dude. Like this is all matters, right? And at the end of the day, if it all goes away, the money we're talking about money and all. I don't care. I'll go get more, right? It's not like it's out of my pocket, but it's out there somewhere, right? So I think you said earlier, it's like about the confidence, knowing that we can go create, we can be valuable to the market, we can get and earn and create. Like to me, that's like wealth. That's like riches. That's the confidence factor to this game.
100%, man. So we were talking earlier about, like, what does rich look like?
Yeah.
And I know we're talking a lot about maybe some mindset side of things of what rich thinks like. Have you found that rich people look differently, right, than broke people, or people trying to be rich? And is there a difference between rich and wealthy, and how they actually physically look, aesthetically, how they dress, the cars they drive? Is there a one size fits all for this, or do you see that it's very different across the board?
Dude, I mean, I think it's like anything, dude. Everyone's different, right? You could, when I was, when I grew up in a small town, not many people had much money, but some people looked wealthy, but they had no money. They were living on credit. You know what I mean? And then you had the people trying to be rich or trying to look rich, whatever that means. Um, Here's the thing is everyone talks about authenticity and all that. I can get in my Hummer, I can get my Ford F-450 and, dirty shoes, cowboy boots, and go to my farm and hang out. I'm wealthy. I'm rich. Like, it varies, dude. It doesn't be you. That's what it looks like. You, right? If you like crappy cars and you're rich and wealthy, go drive a crappy car. If you like, it doesn't matter what everyone wants you to do. I think I was telling you last night. I hung out with some guy and his wife and kids, with my wife and kids, and we went to one yacht club and then we went to another boat club. Because the one place was closing up, and the one is definitely the hoity-toity one. Definitely, you can tell there's some wealth rolling around in there. That's how that's the look and feel, anyways. And then you go to the boat club. By the way, anybody has these boats in Cleveland, Ohio, like you have money, a little bit of money because it costs money, and you probably use it once a year. But there's 100 millionaires in there that literally look like they just literally came out of the coal mine. You know what I mean? Like today. So I don't judge it. I don't judge. Like I'm just a hillbilly kid from Ohio. Like I like to dress like I like to dress, and you like to dress. Like I don't, dude. I think it looks like whatever you want it to look like. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah,
I
I
used to
agree,
think
man.
I used to think rich people smoke cigars. True story. I used to think rich people only listen to opera music. True story. Right. And I would be in my like old Chevy C10, windows down. I swear you could have told me I was in a Rolls Royce, rich everywhere. I have money flying. I'm smoking like a cigar, probably $3 a stick, if that. And then I was probably complaining about that. Listening to opera music, going to a job site, when I was in construction, because I thought that's what I had to do to be rich. And what I realized is like, dude, just be you, you know?
Yep. Yeah, man. I think there's a here's the thing. I know people who have Lambos and Ferraris and Rolls Royces and truly are really rich and really wealthy and have big lifestyles, a lot of fancy stuff, and love it. And they have huge bank accounts and can write a check for my net worth. You know what I mean? These are wealthy people. And at the same time, dude, I've been down in South Carolina. I met up with a guy who owned thousands of acres of land, right? Old timer, and he's dressed in overalls. He's walking around the property and showing me stuff and trying to buy, an RV park and mobile home park on the water from him, and he's making ridiculously inappropriate jokes, right? And like, and tripping all over himself. And this guy's worth tens and tens of millions of dollars. Super wealthy, drives a beat up truck that's probably 25 years old, and does a bunch of fixing it on his own. And so, I think there's different dichotomies, and you being you is truly being rich, right? Not having to then perform or be somebody for someone else, or because there's an expectation on society has on you. And having the peace of mind to just be yourself, be genuine, be authentic, uh, in a world where everybody's being told what to wear, what to smell like, where to eat, how to vote, how to think, and it's like, dude, that's all noise, man. Move that away. Here's me. Here's
Yeah.
my beliefs. Like that. That is what wealthy and true rich should look like.
Well, dude, I was just in the rolls. I have this drop head convertible, right? We were in it, me, Dean, and the kids, and we are at a stoplight. And this guy rolls up, and it's a Beamer. He's like, dude, congratulations. I love it. Keep it up. And then you get the other car beside you flipping you off. Like, who'd you screw to get that? You know what I mean? So
Yep.
here's the thing is, dude, I like cars. That's like I like cars and how whatever. But like, I'm not trying to change the car I drive to a project because I'm worried how you're going to feel, right? This is me. By the way, if you're worried about that, that's on you, not me, right? So if anything, what I've
100%.
realized is when I show up, my buddy's worth a lot of money, and I showed up to his office, and his sales guys are looking out the window like, "Oh my God, that Rolls Royce!" But he'll drive a Kia just so he doesn't think his staff thinks he's rich. I'm like, dude, everyone knows you're very wealthy here. Like, what are you talking about? So and again, it's not good or bad. It's just that's what I like. So I'm not going to change who I am to make you feel comfortable or uncomfortable. I'm just going to be me. How it makes you feel is up to you, right? And I've realized and what's interesting by doing that, I feel better about it. I've inspired people. Some people don't like it. That's cool. Cool. I'm ciphering it off. I don't know, man. It strikes a lot of conversations. Cool cars have always strike very good conversations for me, and I've met some really neat people just randomly through that. But I do think though, Rich, talk real quick about Rich. Like, Tim, you know this. Like, we talk about where we're at and where we're going. Very rarely are we talking about the past, the problems, this person or that. But we're not thinking like, yes, once in a while we'll do that. But like the majority of our time is spent where we're at and where we're going to go, right? Wealthy people do talk about that a lot more. And rich people talk about that a lot more than like, gossiping and shit talking and negative talking. We're thinking about like, yo, man, this is where I'm at. Yo, Tim, you can do that. Yes, you can go bigger, right? Have you thought about this? As opposed to like, no, Tim, you can't do that. No, Tim, that's stupid. No, Tim, be thankful for what you got. Like it's just different language patterns for sure, is what I've noticed in the ecosystem. It doesn't matter if you're in shorts hanging down to your knees and, blah, 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 whatever you talk and walk. But it's what you're talking about and how you're thinking, more importantly, how you're moving and making these things happen.
As you say that, man, I have a kind of an epiphany, right? And thinking about the past, there's really two forms of thought that or two forms of feelings that you get when thinking about the past. You're either shameful of the past, right? Of things you messed up, ways you could have acted better, things you could have said better, or you're very proud of the past. And I find myself being more shameful about the past than proud about the past, even though there's things that I'm very proud of that I've done and everything. But when I think about the past, I'm not thinking about, you know, I feel like, the broke minded people are looking back and being like, oh, yeah, I scored a touchdown in 11th grade. And that's like, I'm so proud of that. And I'm so excited about that. And me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed by who I used to be because I was such a dumbass. I was so disrespectful. I was
Oh, yeah.
acting like a clown. I thank God I've grown as an individual and I'm way more respectful and I have far more wisdom today than I did back then. Like when I look at the past, and I would think most successful people look at the past, they're kind of shameful of who they used to be. And if you're not shameful, that means you haven't grown enough, right? If you don't feel some sense of shame, right? And at the same time, looking back at the past, if you're just like, oh, the good old days, those were like all the good times back in high school or college or getting hammered. And like, if you're proud of, and that were the best days of your life, uh, dude, there's probably something wrong with that. Versus think about the future, right? I think when broke people think about the future, they get very anxious, they get very nervous, they get
Yeah.
uncomfortable thinking about the future. Versus when wealthy people think about the future, dude, we get excited. I
Yeah.
get pumped up about where things are going, and I'm very optimistic of what the future is going to look like. And I feel like that's a dichotomy between wealthy thought processes and broke thought processes.
Yeah, man. Listen, I think it's one of those thoughts where, everyday people are thinking more in linear terms and we're thinking in nonlinear terms. We just get excited. And then, the reason they get anxious is because they don't know how to ask for help. From what I've seen, like
Mhm.
they think they need to know everything before making a move. Like your brother, right? Like, he's not doing real estate deals, and why not, and blah blah blah. Like, he'd ask you, like, they just don't, like, they don't ask for help. They think it's weak. We see it as a strength. I get
Mhm.
very excited knowing that I don't know everything, but if I need help on real estate, I'm calling Tim. If I need help on gym thing, I'm calling Emil. If I need, like, I'm going to use my resources of people I've collected through my relationship capital, and I'm going to utilize them just like I'd want them to utilize me, right? And we like that stuff. Like, I don't need to know, but I have the idea. And if this idea is real and we can put it together, formulate, we're doing that right now with the business, right? Like, we can formulate it. I don't need to know how to get there. I just need to know it exists. And we all need to bring our arms together. I'm going to talk about it until I'm blue in the face.
Yeah, man. No, it's
Yeah.
it's an interesting topic of what does rich look like, and very very current events, right, has spurred and stirred this around quite a bit with Elon hitting $1 trillion. So it's a wild time, man, that we live in. Like, dude, like think about this. There's no other generation who has seen the world in pre-internet, right, and post-internet like our generation. There's nobody that's ever
I know.
seen, like, we've lived through the first trillionaire ever created. We artificial intelligence, before artificial intelligence, after artificial intelligence. It's an
Yeah.
unbelievable time to be alive, and it's an unbelievable time to, see what's going on and continuously reflect on what's happening in the world and how it's impacting our lives, how it's going to impact future generations, and what
Yep.
it's going to continuously evolve to look like. Man, it's super super wild and interesting and exciting to be in.
Well, it's amazing. I just on my walk, quick talk from the walk this morning. I was thinking about like people use like, well, the economy's bad. I can't work out. Well, the economy's bad. I can't start a business. The economy, like, dude, there's more wealth being created right now than there's ever been, and you're still using that as an excuse. Here's some good telltale signs I think we need to think about. If you're hanging out in a conversation, here's how you tell wealthy versus rich. If you're hanging out with people and they talk negative about people that has money, they're not wealthy, right?
Hmm.
They are literally, they're trying to be rich. They're trying to act like, but just so you know, if you talk about negative about people who have money and things and all this stuff all the time, and I'm not talking like once in a while, whatever, but I'm talking like that's just your natural boom, boom. No, that's not right. No, that's not fair. No, that's not this. No, that's not that. Dude, why in the world would the man upstairs gift you with wealth? Because if you did, they would be talking about you. You're creating you. And everything you say is negative about you in the future. It will never come to fruition. And if it does happen by whatever rare chance, you will lose it and you will retract back down to who you are internally. It's a thought like we all hang out with, we've hung out with these people. It's like whatever you say, they have a negative conversation about it. There's nothing positive in any way, shape, or form. Oh yeah, who'd they screw to get that? Oh yeah, it must be nice. Oh yeah, that's just stupid. Oh yeah, that's not fair. Oh yeah, he needs to pay his fair share of taxes. Oh yeah, like it's negative, negative, negative. If you're hanging out with individuals like that, get away from them as fast as humanly possible. Typically, it's people the closest to you. Unfortunately, minimize being around them. Minimize what you talk about around them. Like you have to understand this is you do not want these thoughts in your brain because if you truly want wealth and riches, it's hard to get when you think everything's negative to get there. Because they're
Hmm.
all talking about you. They're all saying it. And by the way, if you're doing that, I just don't know how you can get there. And that's the
Yep.
difference, dude. Our rooms, I don't know. I can't even remember the last time we talked negative. But like I don't I genuinely don't know. Other than a family reunion or going to it like just listening to people just randomly out in the wild. Like, dude, people talk negative about what they truly want, right? Like, oh, what is the saying? Oh gosh, money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. For the love of money is the root of all evil. The money is a tool, right? That's it. I'm not in love with the money. I'm in love with what I can do with the money. Help my parents, help my in-laws, help my sisters, help my friends, give more money to charity. Is that evil? No, what you put on it is evil, right? And it's like this is where people really fall in the line. What is it? Something about like the eye, the needle of a camel's eye, or whatever. I try to forget it because it's garbage that people will say out loud. And they don't even know what they're saying, and it's holding them back, man, from truly being wealthy and rich.
Dude, I think that's a great uh, what does rich look like? Here's what rich sounds like, right? Rich sounds like, or broke sounds like talking about other people, right? When the topic is usually a person or talking about other people, it's almost always negative, and that's what broke sounds like. Dude, our conversations are consistently about action and ideas, right? Wealthy and rich sounds like ideas and action. What's a strategy? What's an idea? What's something cool that we can implement? What's something cool that we can connect? Like putting resources together and creating something new, something exciting. And it's a very different conversation. Like when we get together, man, we don't talk about people, right? We talk about here's where we are, here's the actions, here's the ideas and the things that we want to accomplish, and here's the action steps we're going to take in order to get there, and we're strategizing on that stuff. Versus broke conversations, like when I hang out with broke family members or broke friends from way back in the day, or just meet somebody at a networking event, they're talking adversely and negatively about people, and the conversation always comes around people, right? Versus ideas. I think that's a big delineation between what rich sounds like too.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think this is we could talk about this all day long because I'm very I know how I grew up, and I know where I'm at today, and I know the rooms I'm in and where I used to be.
Hmm.
And I've worked really, really hard by being present in those conversations and just paying attention. People, they'll tell you who they are by what they talk about, right? They'll tell you what their belief systems are by what they talk about. Not only just what they talk about, what they do, right? And the results, not what they say they're going to do, but what they've done, right? Especially if they've been in the game a long time, right? Oh, yeah, I'm crushing it. Okay, what are you doing? But everything you say is negative, 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 negative. Like, it's very hard to crush life and enjoy life if everything's negative, right? It
Yep.
just, I don't know how that works. We're talking about how to make an impact, how to grow people, how to grow this, and how to, like, I'm not saying it's all rainbows and unicorns, but like, our objective is to be positive, to be giving back, to be growing, to be nurturing, to be guiding, to be like positive, positive, positive. It's always coming back to that. That's our, I guess that'd be our North Star, if you will, in the game, as opposed to like, how do I tear Tim's building down so my building's bigger? If anything, it's like, dude, you can build a 100 footer. Why can't I build a 110 footer? If you can build a 110
Hmm.
footer, why can't I build a 120 footer? And now it's not a game of who can have the biggest building. It's how can we help each other grow, is really what we're saying, right? So I think it's like, and not only that, like, how do we do it together? You know what I mean? So I think there's some really cool things here, and what does rich look like and act like and feel like, and how do you move? I promise you, it is definitely a mindset first, and then you start making those adjustments, and then more importantly, just be you. You know, have fun, smile, give more, do more, be more, inspire more. Like, that's ultimately the best feelings in the world, dude. Just be
100.
nice, dude. Right? To me, that's you don't have to have money to be nice. I remember growing up, like, I'm like, we need a nice yard. Yeah, but the neighbor doesn't have a nice yard. I don't care about the neighbor. I care about me. And oh, by the
Yeah.
way, be the change. Be the change you want to see. We have a nice yard. I would edge the lawn at my parents' house when I was a kid, and like no one did that where I'm from. Zero people that I'm familiar with that ever did that. And it's not bad or good. It's just they didn't think about that stuff. Maybe like I was always like, a nice lawn means a lot. Oh, by the way, I don't need to be rich to clean my house, to make my bed, to take care of myself, to present myself better. Like, I don't need to be rich to do that, right? In dollar
Hmm.
terms. But, it's behaviors and activities and how do you see yourself, man? It's very important.
100%, man. Well, dude, this has been a great convo. I appreciate you being here, Mark, and appreciate you guys listening in. If there's anything that we can do for you, be a resource for you, make a connection for you, don't hesitate to reach out. We don't have anything that we're selling. We really just have this podcast in order to have conversations about what do wealthy people do? What do they talk about? What do they? What's the perspective that they have on different topics? And if there's something that you want to hear us talking about and strategizing on and having sharing some ideas on, don't hesitate to reach out on that either. We would just appreciate you if you share the podcast, give us a 5-star review, and we appreciate you just showing up each week. So thank you guys so much for being here. Mark, any final words?
Yeah, just tag us in this stuff, guys. We are engaged. We are in the game. We do have some special guests coming on board. We're working with them right now. We'll keep you guys posted on that. But we got some real players. And if you know anybody that has the rich mindset, the rich game, and they're actually doing it, the walking the talk, let us know about them. Let us get them some exposure. Let them shine their light into our community, and let's get it out there. So share, let us know, and connect us. We're here to win with you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Tim.
See y'all next week.